everybody, and thank you all for being here, and thank you all for your purple. I don't have purple on, but thank you. It's beautiful. Purple is an official domestic violence color. I'm Kim Dugan, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Director of Advocates Against Family Violence, and it's been my heart's cry that there just be no more domestic abuse. Brian and I were just talking, how hard is it just to wake up and be nice to somebody? But based on results and the fact that we all have jobs because of people not being nice to each other, it's very sad. But I'll probably cry with this one, but my daughter sent me a message this morning on, what's it called? Google, not Google, something. Anyway, she sent me a message this morning.
Twitter.
And she said, "Mom, I love you, and oh, by the way, be praying for all of my friends who are living in Vegas and doing Teach for America too, because of everything that happened this morning, or yesterday." And I had no idea, so I get to work and I Google it and find out, and see all the horrific sadness that one man was able to inflict in one community. And for right now, I would just really like for all of us just to take a moment. If you're a prayer, pray. If not, just have a moment of silence for those victims' families, and for that man's family who they had absolutely no idea and were just taken so off guard. Thank you all. So, good morning and welcome. To our kickoff for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we have an entire month dedicated to domestic abuse and sexual assault every single year. And I really want to do a special thank you to our commissioners, to our county employees, to our county prosecuting attorney, to PDs, to Sheriff's Department, all those who are actively engaged every single day in the work that we do to eliminate violence. Oh, and our board members as well. Hi, board members. Thank you for being here with us. It's hard to believe, but this year is the 30th year anniversary of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. 30 years we've been doing this. You'd think we would have it done by now, but we're human. Domestic Violence Awareness Month evolved from the Day of Unity, which was held October 1981. The intent of that day was to connect advocates, like all of us, across the nation who were working to end domestic violence against women and their children. Then in October of 1987, the first Domestic Violence Awareness Month was observed, and in 1989, U.S. Congress then passed the public law designating October of that year as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we've been having Domestic Violence Awareness Month ever since then. Domestic violence affects every single one of us. It's everywhere, affecting millions of individuals across the United States, regardless of their age, regardless of their economic status, of their race, their ethnicity, their gender, their sexual orientation, their religion. It's a social epidemic. We know that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men at some point in their life will be impacted by domestic abuse or sexual assault. That's not really a cold hard stat either, because like with breast cancer, you have to be diagnosed with breast cancer. That's a hard stat. But this statistic is only of what's reported. How much more is out there? I see Sheriff shaking his head, yeah, because he knows. How much more is out there that we really don't know about because it goes unreported? I say it's more, every single one of us knows someone who's been impacted by it or will be impacted by it at some point in their life. Domestic violence, it's not just strictly physical abuse. Physical abuse leads to the mental abuse, the financial abuse, the emotional abuse. It affects every single area of our life, not just the physical. I remember in my own situation, I would always just say, if he would just hit me just one time, then all of this other stuff would make sense, because nobody's going to believe this story. So it just hit me just one time. Abuse is never, ever, ever the victim's fault. Yet, as a society, we continue to place blame on victims by asking, what did she do to deserve that? Or, what was she wearing? What difference does it make what she was wearing? But we get asked that. Or, why was she there? Like she couldn't be anywhere? And it's because she was there that she was abused? But we don't ask these questions to victims of other crimes. Excuse me. And we need to stop asking these questions of domestic violence victims and sexual assault survivors. It takes everyone, every single individual in our community and in Canyon County. We are fortunate to have an amazing team of organizations working together. We have the Nampa Family Justice Center, who we work very closely with. We have county prosecuting attorneys. We have sheriff's department. We have PDs in all the cities. And we are so grateful to be able to have a working relationship with everyone. And we all work together to come together for a common good to say, no, we're not going to do this. Brian and I just had a conversation about being a prosecuting attorney and the horrific things that they see all day, every day, and bringing prosecution and how sometimes their hands really are tied because the laws work against us, they don't work for us. And so now, though, it is my distinct honor to bring Commissioner, I guess, Tom, are you going to be reading it? Yes. Commissioner Tom Dale is going to be reading the proclamation proclaiming October Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Canyon County.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it. And I want to say that I am reading this on also in partnership with the City of Caldwell and all of our cities in Canyon County who have joined together to make this proclamation and make this Awareness Month work. And I just want to say that this is one of those things that most often happens in the hidden places. And as we bring those things that are hidden out into the public, then we can address them. As long as they stay hidden, we can't address them. When we bring them out, that's when we get a chance. And also, as I was thinking about those comments, I thought, you know, we see hints of things in public. And we need to be tuned into those kind of things. When you see a little bit in public, guess what's happening in the hidden places? With that, I will read this proclamation. Whereas the month of October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, whereas home should be a place of warmth, love, tranquility, and security. However, each day in the state of Idaho, hundreds of victims of domestic violence and their children seek safety and services from community-based domestic violence programs. Whereas domestic violence is a crime that transcends race, religion, age, ethnicity, and economic stature. Whereas domestic violence has tremendous effects on our community, including the judicial system, healthcare systems, our schools, neighborhoods, family, and friends. Whereas the Canyon County Domestic Violence Task Force is a coalition of organizations that continue to directly confront this crisis. Now, therefore, we, the Canyon County Board of Commissioners, take this time to remember those victims whose lives have been tragically taken. Encourage and support survivors who have escaped abuse and address the importance and value of community connectedness to prevent and respond to domestic violence. We do hereby proclaim October as Domestic Violence Month, Awareness Month, and encourage all Canyon County residents to take an active role in addressing this issue in our community throughout the year, and especially in the month of October 2017. Thank you.
I have a hard time not calling you Mayor Dale. I'm still calling you Mayor, and I know you're not the Mayor, you're Commissioner Dale, sorry. We are now honored to have our prosecuting attorney, Brian Taylor, with us. And Brian and I, we have a lot of conversations about domestic abuse and just the legalities that tie their hands and trying to get to a prosecution, but they get it done. And I'm so glad that we have Brian Taylor and his team working with us and for us. So I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
Thank you so much, Kim. You know, I have to say, it is really the team that does everything. So I get the great opportunity of coming forward and chatting with individuals. One of the great perks of being a prosecutor is I get the opportunity to go out into the community and talk about the great things that we're all doing. And I was recently giving a presentation to one of our local clubs, and we were talking about a number of different crime trends in Canyon County, what we're seeing, and we came upon the topic of domestic violence. And a question was posed to me, and a citizen asked me, what can we do to end the cycle of violence? A very perplexing question, isn't it? Kind of caught me off guard. My initial response was, hey, we should treat everyone with dignity and respect, but you look at the world in today's day and age, we're not getting that. So after we had a conversation, I left and I started thinking about it a little bit more as what can we do to end the cycle of violence? And as I look around, everyone here, you're the answer. We're the answer. The community as a whole is an answer. It's not just prosecution, it's not just law enforcement, it's just not the advocates, it's the media, it's those teachers, it's the business community, it's parents, it's family members. Everyone has to come together. It takes an entire community to truly tackle this injustice that pervades us. Domestic violence is a strain on the moral character of our community and our society, and it's an obligation of all of us to stand up against it. And it's, as Kim and I were saying, it's sad that we only do this once a year. This should be a conversation that is ongoing. 12 months a year, 365 days a year, 366 if it's a leap year. So, but the question that was asked to me shows how complicated and insidious this issue of domestic violence truly is. It's a disease that festers in the silence, as Commissioner Dale was mentioning, of our community's homes. It's a silence that's coercive. It leaves women, children, men carrying the burden of shame. It prevents them from speaking out about their abuse, and it prevents them from getting help. And at worst, and unfortunately worst, it becomes fatal. I was just having a conversation with one of the members of my team in my office this morning, and she was mentioning that her daughter is a 5th grade teacher over in the great state of Oregon. And as we were talking, they are developing a program that is identifying 4th graders and 5th graders that are showing signs and abuse as victims. And they've created a program to start tackling those issues so they no longer become victims. The sad thing is, it's already at its capacity and it's full, and they're turning people away because they don't have enough spots. The positive, though, is that they're targeting it, they're talking about it, and they're addressing it, and unfortunately it's at such a young age. The cycle is really tough to break. It goes back to that question. What do we do to end the cycle of violence? But it's not impossible to break. We've been working on it for 30 years. Some would say longer than that. It's really gained steam, right? But the ultimate answer in the question, as I indicated, is it's the community has to respond. I know it's going to be difficult. I know it's going to be frustrating. And at times, many of us want to throw in the towel and just going, is it ever going to end? But we can't, and we mustn't. That's why we're here together. We're a team. When one of us is down, the others have to pick us up, and it's going to take all of us to tackle this issue. The answer is about understanding the warning signs of abuse and not being afraid to speak out. As mentioned already, if you see it, speak out about it. The answer is about seeing something that we know is wrong and then acting upon it. Canyon County is blessed to have the highly skilled professionals, teams, advocates in this room, and we are trained to handle those cases, sensitive situations, and we are going to do everything we can to help the victims and survivors of domestic violence, and ultimately bringing the perpetrators to justice. Trust me, I can say, especially looking at my law enforcement brethren, is we would rather be told about something, go and investigate it, and realize there's nothing there than never being told. So call us, call them. I sit in my office and let everyone else do everything. So, a perk of being the prosecutor. So, no. But it's imperative for all of us to continue to be vigilant and making it a priority to bring awareness and to fight against domestic violence in Canyon County. And I encourage all of you as we go forward, don't let October just be the month of domestic violence to end it. Let's let every single month be that. Because I want to be able to go and continue going out into the community, and I want the next question asked of domestic violence is, Mr. Prosecutor, back in the days, there was this thing called domestic violence. What did you do to end it? So thank you all so very much for being here.
So you've chickened out. Okay, all right. I got it. No.
I don't want to steal the thunder.
No, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
I'm already super proud.
I know, and we're so glad we have you. But right now, I am going to turn this over to Alicia Bowles and Denise Himes, and they are going to be presenting the Outstanding Victim Services Award to one in your office. So, Denise, not Alicia, just Denise.
Just switch it up. Oh, sorry. The Idaho Victim Witness Association is a nonprofit organization that has members from prosecutor's office, victim witness coordinators, restitution coordinators from prosecutor's offices, victim witness coordinators from law enforcement officers, individuals from the Idaho Crime Victims Compensation Program, and other victim service professionals and advocacy-based programs. Our goal is to promote effective ways to assist victims of crime throughout the state of Idaho. And every year, members of this organization nominate people outside of the organization that represent this goal, individuals that from all over the state of Idaho that go above and beyond, that go the extra mile in the work they do in the criminal justice field. Monica Morrison is a deputy prosecutor in the Canyon County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. She is the chief of the domestic violence unit, and she leads that unit in prosecution of domestic violence related cases. Individuals who suffer abuse at the hands of an intimate partner face so many obstacles that make it incredibly difficult to actively participate in prosecution of a case. And Monica understands those obstacles, and she incorporates them every day into her job. And on behalf of the Victim Witness Association, we thank Monica for her passion, for her drive, her desire, for her willingness to work hard and countless hours she puts into doing this job and her leadership. Her efforts help break the silence of domestic violence, and it is a thrill that she is this year's Idaho Victim Witness Association Outstanding Victim Service Award recipient. My little speech just does not do justice in representing the work that Monica does and the passion. We did do a nomination letter that Alicia's going to read also.
Denise and I both nominated Monica, so I would like to nominate Monica Morrison from the Canyon County Prosecuting Attorney's Office for the Idaho Victim Witness Service Award. Monica is a deputy prosecutor and supervisor of the felony domestic violence caseload in Canyon County. She is a natural leader in domestic violence and stalking cases. She works with patrol and detectives when the initial calls for help come in. She spends countless hours at night and on the weekends working with law enforcement to make sure that these cases are handled correctly right from the beginning. She is willing to walk warrants through and stay after hours to assist law enforcement and victim witness. Monica will take a call and offer her expertise to any agency or prosecutor. She has trained all of the officers, dispatch, and victim witness coordinators in Canyon County on how to deal with difficult cases and victims. Her trainings have led to better communication and investigation procedures. Monica is a prosecutor that has never just done her job. She always uses her legal talent to pursue the most difficult cases, and she wins most of them. Her pursuit of justice is infectious, and she makes those around her want to do their best. Monica spends countless hours preparing her cases and working with victims. She understands why victims struggle to stay cooperative. Monica is willing to meet with a victim right when law enforcement is with the victim so that she can make that connection early on. She agrees to take difficult cases without victim cooperation. We know that these cases are usually the cases that most prosecutors will decline, but not Monica Morrison. She's willing to fight for victims who may not be ready to fight for themselves. Victim safety is always Monica's #1 priority. Prior to hearings, Monica can be found reviewing jail phone calls for no contact order violations and witness intimidation. She is proactive and looking for ways to ease the burden of a victim when possible. Monica is a champion for change in the system and has been a strong supporter of the Canyon County Domestic Violence Court and Canyon County Domestic Violence Task Force. She has built a strong allegiance with all law enforcement agencies in Canyon County. Officers trust her, and they know she's among the best and brightest prosecutors in the state of Idaho. She is considered part of our law enforcement family. Monica has been a board member for Advocates Against Family Violence and somehow finds the time to volunteer in victim events in our community. It is my honor to nominate Monica Morrison for the Idaho Victim Services Award. She is the greatest asset that we have for domestic violence in Canyon County, and we appreciate her efforts to protect victims and pursue justice.
So I'm going to say a few words. I promise I won't keep you guys for very long. So this is a huge honor for me, and when I look around the room at all the different people that work with victims, I'm not sure I should be up here. I think it should be all of you. But I'm grateful for the recognition because it means that someone is noticing what's going on here in Canyon County, and hopefully that's a good thing. I want to thank all of the different people who helped me with my job, from my support staff to my investigators to law enforcement, to victim witness coordinators, to law enforcement coordinators, to my friends, and to my family. I'm sure lots of them who don't work in this business know way too much about domestic violence because I can't seem to quite let it go. But I am blessed to work with a lot of people who support me, and that includes our administration. I think we have made a lot of really amazing and positive changes in Canyon County, and I think we can do so much more, and I'm sure that my supervisors wish I would give it a break and let it go. But I'm not going to as long as I'm working for you, so get used to it. For me, I truly believe domestic violence is the biggest problem our community currently faces. I think Commissioner Dale is right when he says that we need to talk about it more because it does exist in silence. And our community needs to know that we need to do more, but we can't do it without their help. For me, even though this work is challenging and difficult, I personally don't want to go to another domestic violence homicide. And unfortunately, our domestic violence problem results in domestic violence homicides. Every year we have one. And in my mind, one is too many. So that's why I keep fighting, and I hope that you will keep fighting for me. Thank you so much for all being here. Thank you for all of you who have worked with me and helped me and supported me. I am tremendously grateful for the support that I have received from all of you, especially law enforcement. I know that sometimes I drive you guys nuts too, but please know it's because I care and I don't want to see any victims suffer in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. She truly is amazing. Do you sleep? I don't think you do. I know you don't. The majority of us don't. And Monica is so right, and I think we've all echoed that in this room when we've had the microphone in our hand, that it takes the entire community. I know that the staff at the prosecuting attorney's office, they're exhausted. I know that. I know that victim witness coordinators, they're exhausted. I know the staff at our agency, they're exhausted. Nampa Family Justice Center, they go home exhausted at night. It takes every single individual in every single community standing up and calling it what it is, and then getting those people the help that they so rightfully deserve. I just want to close with saying that Domestic Violence Awareness Month truly is the opportunity to deepen our understanding of this epidemic and share resources. We're not all in this alone. Like, it's not just the Nampa Family Justice Center, it's not just the prosecuting attorney's office, it's not just us individually, it's us collectively coming together and making that stand and saying, no, not one more victim. It takes courage for a survivor. It takes courage to stand up and say, I'm a survivor. But I see a whole room full of survivors right now. And I want to say thank you for sharing your stories, and thank you for being strong, and thank you for being the survivor that you are today. So thank you, as always, for joining us in this important work to support survivors, and together, working together as a community, we can end this epidemic forever. Thank you all for being with us so much. We appreciate it. And there's cake over there for Monica. Stay and celebrate her. Thank you all.